So good evening all of you. Welcome to the session. Today I'm going to have a session where we will talk about IIFT. Lot of requests for the last so many days, and we already had a session last week with the GP taking the session, so we thought after that we'll have it once again. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the IIFT examination, what to prepare, where to prepare, because these are typically the questions that I'm getting. And we will also look at how to strategize the paper and what to look forward to on the test day, few things that we will keep in mind, and make sure that we crack the IIFT exam. Okay, so the first thing that we will keep in mind here is it's an online exam this year, unlike all the other years where it had been a paper-based exam. This time it's going to be an online exam. So few things to keep in mind when you are having an online exam is expect shorter RC passages, expect probably shorter DI sets as compared to what it was in the IIFT papers previously, and rest of the thing, the look and feel and everything should remain the same because TCS IIN is going to conduct this exam for IIFT as well. So probably it's going to have the same interface as CAT examination itself, and probably a bit of changes here and there, right? So let's get into the session and then see what you need to look at when you're looking at the IIFT examination per se. So IIFT has got 6 sections. You have the general awareness section, quantitative aptitude section, you have the data interpretation section, verbal ability section, reading comprehension, and the logical reasoning. Now 6 section makes this exam like really complicated. A lot of times people are not able to crack the exam, not because they are not good at doing the questions in the paper, but then they get bogged down by so many sections, and then they get confused as to what to do in the paper and what not to. So we'll have a clarity before you take the next few mocks, so that you can practice what we are talking here in the mocks and try to understand how you can go about and probably look at how to strategize a paper, which is much more important than just going and doing the paper. 2 hours and a lot of questions out there, about 110 to 120, 30 questions that we are looking at, and it becomes very confusing when you're looking at the paper for the first time. So if you have a strategy in mind and you're going to follow that strategy in the paper, it makes it much more easier to crack this paper. And I'm telling you, this paper is way easier to crack if you're focused. In fact, we had a student last year who was focused and prepared only for IIFT, and he cracked the paper with a 99.9 percentile. So he did not write CAT, he did not write any other exam, he just wrote the IIFT paper. He prepared for that for the last 3-4 months and then cracked it. So it's as easy to crack if you will strategize and you go with a free mind and you know how to approach the paper and you don't get bogged down by the sections and everything out there. You will be able to definitely crack this paper. Okay, so let's get in and try to understand how the paper is. So first of all, I'm going to share with you this matrix. I've removed the IIFT 2018 paper. We'll come back to that later. But I want to show you how the 2013 to 17 papers have been. And if you see, although there were 6 sections in all of these papers, the sectionals in these papers weren't exactly the same as in all the papers. So for example, if I look at the 2013 paper, which is the one at the bottom, you will see that in the IIFT 2013 paper, the DI and the LR part went together, which means the DI and the LR part had a cutoff, which was calculated together. Now, same was the case with VA and RC, and VA and RC together had a cutoff, and then there was a cutoff for GK, and there was a cutoff for QA. Overall cutoff went at 47.5, and if you see here, you'll see the rest of the cutoffs were pretty low. And that is the case across all the papers that we had in the previous so many years. But the small change that you see here is in 2014, QA and DI became one section and VARC remained as the other section. Whereas again in 2015, DI-LR was one section and VARC was another section. And 2016, DI-LR was a section and VARC was a section. And the thing is, in 2017, all 6 of them were different sections, which means you had to have a separate cutoff for each and every section, the 6 sections. And you can see what happened because of that, because if you look at the cutoffs which are there, in the year 2017, the cutoff went as low as 35.5 out of 100. Now this is what happens when you have sectional cutouts or all the 6 sections, because it's not easy to clear keep your focus onto all the sections. So if you go and strategize the paper well, you'll be able to crack this paper, right? And same was the case in 2018. Every section had a different sectional cutoff, which meant that the cutoff went even lower at a 32.5. So first and foremost thing, when you're sitting there to write the IIFT paper, please read the instruction. And I keep telling this every single time for the IIFT paper, and there are so many times that people don't pay heed to the instructions, and then they'll end up in trouble, because it'll be there in the instruction what are the sections and what is the kind of sectional cutoff. Is it going to be together or is it going to be separate? So please read the instruction. Don't be in a hurry to just open up the test and do it without having a look at the sectionals. Now, another thing to notice here is, if you look at this, one of the things that everybody had been calling me up for is the GK, and let me be very clear on this. IIFT GK is not going to be the game changer, and that is very evident from the cutoff that you see here. So in 2017, the GK cutoff went at 0.82, 2016 at 1.99, 2015 at 0.82 again, and the highest ever cutoff in IIFT GK was 2.49 in 2014. So it has never gone beyond 2.49. You do 6 questions in the paper, get 3 marks, and you've cleared the cutoff. There is nothing more than that. And we'll come to the GK part and see as how easy that GK is to crack. You don't have to study too much. If you apply your mind and you have read your newspapers for the last 1 year regularly, or have gone through the month, and you should be able to clear the cutoff without any problem. And as I said, it is not going to make a huge difference in anybody's score, because the best of the guys that I've seen who have a very good general awareness still manage to crack only 5-6 marks. So which means it's a difference of let's say quite a lot of study, and if you're even a quizzer, probably you will land up with some 7-8 marks or probably 6 marks, but nothing more than that. And then 2.43 marks is very easy to get in this paper. So let's keep in mind that GK is not the game changer. Don't be afraid of GK, because GK is not actually going to change anything in this paper. So what is this paper all about? This paper is all about time management, and time management is the key in the IIFT paper. If you manage your time well and you know the paper well and you've done few mocks, you're going to crack this paper, because there is nothing apart from time management in this paper. Paper is easy, way easier than the CAT, and it is only a matter of picking up the right question and focusing on that question and focusing on that section to crack that minimum cutoff and probably maximize in 1 or 2 of the sections. So that's all that you need to look at when you're looking at the IIFT paper. So time management is the key. Keep that in mind, and keep that in mind while you're doing the mocks. Make sure that you're not complacent when you get a high score, but you're not clearing the cutoff of a section, because that's not advisable. So be very critical about your mock, and have a look at how you have performed across section. Are you clearing the cutoff of the section is very important. Now let's look at how do we go about managing the time. So I'm going to come back to this slide later at the end of my presentation, but to keep in mind when we're discussing all this, let's keep this matrix in mind. So you're going to spend about 10 minutes in GK, which is general awareness. And if you ask me, 10 minutes is too much of a time, because you're going to only read the question and mark what you know, and you're going to leave those questions which you don't know. So you in a GK paper, you can't do anything apart from that. You read, you know, you mark it, you don't know, you go ahead. That's it, right? So 10 minutes itself is too much. QA, about 35 minutes. If you're really good at QA and you think you're going to maximize your score, probably you can pull it a bit higher, but nothing more than 10 minutes more. So 35 would be somewhere about apt time to look at QA. If QA is a strong area, then probably 45, right? Verbal ability and reading comprehension put together about 35 minutes, and LR about 30 minutes. And the last part is DI. I put 15 minutes there, but in the DI section, you really don't need to spend 15 minutes, because whenever there has been a separate cutoff for DI, the cutoff of DI had gone somewhere about 2 marks. That's all. And to get that 2 marks, you can actually scan through the paper and see which are the easy questions in the paper, irrespective of what set it is, and you can do it. So there are questions which are comparison questions in the paper. It's unlike your other DIs. DI is calculation intensive here, but there will be sitter questions in the DI part, pick up 2-3 of them, finish it off, and your cutoff is clear. So 10 minutes is what we will look at, maximum of 15 minutes, nothing more than that, because I don't think you need to spend more than 15 minutes on your DI. So let's go in and try to understand each of these sections, try to figure out, what you need to do in these sections to get that cutoff cleared, and also how do you feel safe about the paper that you're doing, and when you come out of the IIFT, after the IIFT exam, you should feel as if you feel that you've done your job in terms of clearing the sectionals and also clearing the overall cutoff. So what can I call as a safe score? Anything in general awareness at about 3 marks should be very, very safe in general awareness. A quantitative aptitude score of 7, a verbal ability score of 6, a RC score of reading combination score of 5, an LR score of 7 about 8, and a DI of 2 should ensure that you clear the sectional cutoffs. So keep this matrix in mind when you're doing your paper. First, let's try to clear the cutoffs, and then we go to maximize the scores in the sectionals. So now I'm going to get into each of these sections and try to understand how these sections work and what do you encounter in these sections. So first and foremost, general awareness. I got so many calls, so let's start with this. And I think everybody is concerned about general awareness, so we'll start with this and understand how and what you need to do. First and foremost thing, only attempt what you know. No guesswork. So let me give you an example. I had a student few years back who scored a 55 marks in his IIFT paper when the cutoff was somewhere about in 40s. Definitely would have cracked the paper, but he attempted and guessed so many questions in GA. He actually marked all the questions and he landed up at a negative mark. So the cutoff that year went as low as somewhere about 0.8, and this guy landed up with a score which was about 0.4. So which is unnecessary. So make sure that you only attempt what you know, no guesswork whatsoever. 6 questions done and you should be happy that you have done your job. So no guesswork. Next one, definitely check out for the match the following questions in the general awareness paper. If you're weak in general awareness, still match the following questions. You can get clues out of it and you may be able to probably crack the question just because you know 1 or 2 of the answers in the match the following. So let me just go in and share with you what was the kind of general awareness questions which we have seen in the last few years of the paper. So people say that IIFT paper is all about trade, and there's a lot of trade related questions coming in here. But then if you look at this, trade related questions are very few. But on the other hand, you should definitely read banking and economics, which means read about RBI, understand what are the repo rates, what is the SLR, the current rates. Please keep all that in mind and that's the easy part of it. Go to the RBI website and you get all the information. It's there right there in the Compendium, which is available for you in your SIS login. There will be few questions which are business oriented questions. I'll show you some of them. There are questions which have come from organizations in NATO, the United Nations, the NATO, organizations under United Nations, and so on and so forth. Few questions here and there from science. But then if you look at the other part of it, bulk of the question have been from current affairs, about 50% of the question, and a lot of questions have come from current affairs part. So if you read through last 1 year's current affair, that starting from January till November, that should be more than sufficient to crack 3 questions in that paper. And people who are interested in sports, definitely there will be some sports related questions, and it has been there in every single year's paper, right? So make sure that you go through the month end. Spend your time on month end. 12 months is what you need to look at, and pick up the month and keep reading it. You've got 6 days to go, so pick up 2 months every day and then just read through it. No need to mug up stuff because that's not going to help anyway. And then you have the static GK. Typically you have questions on Bollywood, on currencies, capitals, a bit here and there about Prime Minister, President, how they are elected, and so on and so forth. You get 1 or 2 questions from history, and then you have books, authors, inventions, days, dates, a little bit about geography, the tallest mountain, the longest river, so on and so forth. But then that's static GK from your book. Packet 3 has got a static GK book. You can probably go through that, in leisure, and probably keep reading through, so that you get some familiarity when you're looking at questions. But again, I'm reiterating the same thing. Three questions, 3 marks is what you need. That's 6 questions, and you should finish off those 6 questions. If you don't know any other question, read through, finish it off, and get out of the GK part. So these are the few kind of questions that we're talking about, the match the following questions. So if you see, this was a question which came in your last year's paper, and I'm very sure a lot of you would be able to figure out the answer to this question. Why? Because it's pretty easy. So you have Facebook out there, you have got Visa out there, so Accenture out there. So it's not a tough question to crack. So you need to just pay heed to the options and then write the answer. And again, so organizations and their head offices, if you know 1 or 2 of them, you should be able to crack this question. And then there was once in your IIFT questions like these, and kind of questions which were related to personality. But if you look at this, most of the personalities are personalities that you know, and it should not be very difficult for you to actually come out and answer these kind of questions. Again, personality based question, but in match the following. Question on Bollywood, again on match the following. So this is what I was telling you. These are the kind of, and you're going to get from 4 or 5 questions which are match the following kind of question. I assume that this is not going to change because the exam is going to go online. It's going to remain more or less the same, the paper, and these questions are regular features in the IIFT paper. Now, what do I do about GK? And I'm very surprised that you have not opened up your SIS and looked at the videos which are available there. There was an IIFT specific GK session which happened on 14/11/2019, and where is this? This is right there in your SIS login. If you go to videos and CAT day classes, you should be able to see this. And today there was a session which went live discussion on IIFT paper 2019-21. I assume that few of you must have must have seen the video. If not, then tomorrow you can watch it. And you also have GK sessions coming up on 26/11. You have one session coming up on 28/11. So two more GK sessions which you can attend. I will ask you to definitely attend these sessions. It's a 2-hour session. They're going to take you through some of the GK which is from the current affairs part, which has come in the last featured in the last one year. So please go through this and make sure that you are definitely going to read through and then attend these sessions, which is basically the preparation that you require for IIFT's GK. Also, a lot of people ask me, sir, where is Manthan? And Manthan is right there in your GK module in the SS login, and you also have a lot of GK tests out there. So if you want to test yourself after reading the Manthan, you can do that as well. And now you can view all the Manthan magazine out there for October 2019 or previous whole 2 years. So please go through it and make sure that you utilize it. Another thing that you should definitely go through for general awareness is the IIFT GK Compendium 1920. This is available in your Compendium area. Please go through and make sure that you are read this once. Don't mug up anything, but then read through and go through it so that you are familiar with the current affairs and a little bit of economics and trade as well. So that's about GK. As I said, GK is not going to be the game changer. You need to just clear the cutoff, and 6 questions is what we are looking at here. Now the next part of IIFT, which I always have felt is the easier part in the IIFT sections, is the reading comprehension. And one of the we all have written CAT yesterday, and everybody feels that the CAT passages are difficult. IIFT is not, and IIFT passages are easy, factual, very easy to understand, and the questions are direct from the passages. So there is no way that you can go wrong if you have read the passage. In fact, you don't even have to read. You can go through the questions, read the question, go back to the passage and figure out where the answer lies. So it's that easy. I would want you to build some confidence on this by practicing from the previous year paper. All the papers are available for you in your SIS login. Please go through the paper. Last 5-6 years, RCs, pick it up and build confidence by doing the question. Just watch the questions, read the question once and then go and figure it out from the passages. And you should do that practice definitely so that you have the confidence that it's easy to look at these kind of questions if it is factual question. And most of these questions are arranged also sequentially, so it is very easy to figure out what are the RCs, what are the questions and where is it in the RC as well. So I'm going to just show you, I've just taken a few of these questions from previous year's papers just to showcase to you how it works. I just randomly picked this up. So if you look at this, according to the author, snack food companies traditionally focus on, and it's there in the passage. The passage suggests that MNC should replace globalization with, and then so on and so forth. What is the learning for PepsiCo from Indian experience? So these are all questions which are so direct, it is right there in the passage. And if you see, there are so many of such questions there in the IIFT paper. So as I said, please go through. I need all of you to spend a good amount of time on the reading comprehension. There is going to be about 4 to 5 reading comprehension. Typically it's 4, but then last year's paper had 5. So I wanted to go through those reading comprehension, look at the question, answer the question, because the chances of getting those questions right is extremely high. And RC is going to be a game changer if you can crack it, and your accuracy level is going to be very high when you're doing this RC, because it's all factual and right there in the passage from where you're just figuring out the answers. So now the next important section in IIFT paper is the logical reasoning section. Now in the logical reasoning section, historically, if I look at, there are a lot of kind of questions which come in the paper. So you have number series question, alphabet series, directions, family tree, verbal reasoning, syllogisms, you have Venn diagram, all kind of things. But last year's paper wasn't so. And last year's paper also, the number of single questions were very less. So which means these papers had more of an analytical reasoning set. So 5-6 sets where there were 2 to 4 questions, and these sets you need to crack to get those answers. So it was typically like a CAT set, but then there is no comparison between CAT and IIFT's paper, because LR in IIFT is mostly sitters. So probably out of the 4 sets you may find one of them difficult, but then all the other 3 are going to be real sitters in the paper. So I want you to spend half an hour on LR section, pick up the question, calm mind, do the question. I want you to go through and probably get 10-12 questions correct in this. And this is another section where you can build accuracy, you can be sure of your answer, and you can make sure that you don't go wrong because you're guessing things or something like that, and you're just making sure that you're looking at the paper and saying, okay, these 12 questions I've done and I've got it right. So 10 to 12 question is going to be a target. I'm going to show you some of the questions which came in the paper. So mostly linear arrangement, circular arrangement, matrix arrangement. There is nothing more than that is there in the IIFT paper anyway. So if you're good at matrix, linear arrangement, circular arrangement, little bit to play around with here and there with numbers, it should be, and you are able to make your tables, your matrices and things like that, you should be able to crack these kind of questions. So these are the questions that I picked up from last year's paper. This was from the last year paper. Venn diagram. Syllogisms. Easy ones actually. Missing numbers, puzzle, series. So this is from the 2017 IIFT paper. So you can very well see here, it's not tough. If you go with a cool mind, and you are going to spend 25 to 30 minutes on your LR part, and you spend that time calm, cool, picking up the sets that you can do. I think you should be able to finish off 10-12 questions within 20-22 minutes. But then I'm keeping another 7-8 minutes extra for you, so that if something goes wrong in between, you're able to pull up yourself and still do those 10-12 questions in the paper. So GK, you are going to do 6 questions, clear the cutoff, and then search for all the other questions that finish it off and get out of the paper. If you are not able to do that, do whatever you can, no guesses come out. And LR, you're going to spend half an hour and make sure that you pick up 3 to 4 sets and finish off 10 to 12 questions. So that's what you're going to do in the LR paper. Another very easy part of your IIFT is a verbal ability paper. Why? Because you can't spend time on this paper, because you have synonyms, antonyms question. Either you know the answer or you don't know. You have original words question which you know or don't know. You have idioms which you know or you don't know. So there's nothing much to think out there. So probably in your verbal ability paper, the only place where you're probably going to spend a little bit of time and spend time on doing a question is where you have parajumbles, and that is only 2 or 3, and English grammar if it is there. So there have been years when there was absolutely no English grammar in the paper, but then last year it was there, and that will probably take you a bit of time to figure out if it's an error spotting question or parajumble question with 4-sentence parajumble. So few of the questions which has come in the paper. So this is one of the questions which came in last year's IIFT paper, where you had vocabulary and you had to pick up words and build a crossword and then answer questions based on that. So for anybody who's good at vocabulary, this would have been a sitter to finish off in the paper, and it would not have taken too much of time. And the other thing is, you have questions like these which are parajumble questions, and that's 4-sentence parajumble. You have questions like these which are idioms questions, so you're not going to spend a lot of time on this again. And then you have questions like these which were grammar questions which came in your 2018 paper, 2017 paper. Now apart from this, you also have sometimes we have seen IIFT throwing up error spotting questions as well. But then this is a section where you will have somewhere about 20-25 questions, and you are not going to spend a lot of time, because if you know, you know it. If you don't know, you don't know. There is nothing much you can do about the paper, and you can just clear the paper, finish it off and go. So the good part of this is verbal ability and reading comprehension put together. If there is a cutoff, then both of them together, you're going to look at cracking the cutoff, which means RC is anyway an easy part. If it is separate cutoff, then the verbal ability cutoff is going to go down. So we'll look at the cutoffs when we come to 2018 paper, so you get an idea about that once again, and we'll go back to that metrics of all the previous 5 years papers that we had a look at initially in the first slide. You also get some of these analogy kind of questions. Preface, service, origin of words kind of questions. There have been years when they have asked figures of speech, so I would want you to go through last 5 years paper, pick up all the paper and go through it, understand what is easy for you, pick up those things, brush up, probably do a few questions on that, and then make sure that as you do the mock, you also keep building up on what you have seen in the paper during your analysis. So reading comprehension and verbal ability together, you should be able to do it within 35 minutes. So you have 30 minutes for LR, 35 minutes for the English part together, and about 10 minutes that you are spending for your GK. So that's 1 hour 15 minutes gone. Then you have the data interpretation paper. Choose any 2 sets, and 3 marks is what you're looking at to clear the cutoff. In fact, last year it was not even 3 marks, it was 2 marks, and it has some of the years gone below that as well. So if you get 3 marks, you should be easily able to clear the cutoff, because people are typically apprehensive and doubtful when they're doing a DI set. So they, in a paper like this where you need to actually allocate time, the chances that a person will pick up DI questions is very, very limited. So make you also need to spend a bit of time only and pick up those 3-4 questions. Each question is of 1 mark, so pick up the question, finish it off, and I'm sure if you go through the paper, you'll be able to pick up easy questions. I want you to do a small exercise here. Pick up the last 5 years paper and go through the paper once to build confidence, and pick up 5 questions which were just questions which were on comparison, and you'll see there were so many of those comparison questions there. Pick up those 2, 3 or 5 questions, whatever is there, finish it off and see whether you were able to clear the cutoff, how much time, and that should do the trick. Do 3-4 papers like that, and it should build confidence for you that it's possible to clear that cutoff, right? So go through it. If the cutoff is along with maths, then there is absolutely no problem, because you need to spend time on maths. So both put together, you will anyway clear the cutoff if you're reasonably good at maths. And then you have the quantitative ability paper. Now, quantitative aptitude is arithmetic, purely arithmetic. So it's arithmetic heavy paper. It will have about 20-22 questions, out of which about 12 to 15 questions will be arithmetic. There will be 1 or 2 questions on PNC probability, or question probably from LCM, HCF for factors or remainders. AP, GP, one question here and there. Quadratic roots, some question here and there. But it's going to be few geometry questions with mensuration question for sure to be there. So it's going to be purely arithmetic paper. If you're good at arithmetic, you should be able to crack the paper. There will be sitters in the paper. There will be single line question. Don't get stuck up in any question. If you are reading a question, you feel a question is too long, leave it, because you will, as you go through, you will find that there are so many questions that you will be able to pick up from the paper. So it's going to be an easy task picking up questions in the IIFT paper, and I'm very sure you'll find 7-8 questions which are single line questions which you should be able to finish off within 1.5 minutes time as you do it. So be very careful when you're doing the papers. Don't get stuck into any of the questions. You're going to spend 35 minutes. Use that 35 minutes to do somewhere about 15-20 questions. Now you have 6 days to go. Today is Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you have the exam after that. So I would suggest you to do a mock every day. Keep the Saturday free, right? So you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 mocks, and those are the 4 mocks that you're going to do. If you don't want to take one of these mocks, leave one of these mocks and probably do the last year's paper. The cutoff, the sectional cutoff. It will build a little bit more confidence for you to see that you are able to clear the cutoff. So make sure that you're not seeing the questions before. So take probably all the 4 mocks if you've done the previous year's papers before. Otherwise, pick up 3 mocks from here, do it, and pick up one of the old papers and do it, and check out the cutoffs and see how you can clear the cutoff. I would say it's a good idea to start off with one of the previous year paper, pick up the paper, look at all the cutoffs there, and then see how you will take the cutoff, keep it with you first, and then do the paper, allocate your time and see how well you are able to strategize your paper. So let's come back to managing the time. Now this is very crucial. I want all of you to start that work tomorrow with your first mock. So pick up the paper, the easiest part of the paper, try to finish it off first. So take up GK, less than 10 minutes, finish off the GK part. If you are able to do 6 questions, pat yourself, check for any other sitters in the paper, otherwise leave the paper, go ahead to the next section. Now depending on what you are good at, if you are good at verbal ability, then I would suggest you to go and do the verbal ability part, because spend 15 minutes and you'll be able to do another 15-20 questions, and then that will build a lot more confidence because you'll see out there that you have already attempted so many questions. If not, you're good at maths, go to maths and spend 35 minutes and do as many questions as you can. So choose for yourself, depending on how comfortable you are, probably try it out in your mock, and after you do either the QA or the VA, one of them, I would want you to go to RC, because RC is where you're going to spend time and RC is where you're going to score. and RC is where you are going to get the questions correct, because it's all factual, it's all there, answers are given in the passage, you just have to pull it out and put it there. If you do this section at the end of it, you will be already tired and you will not be able to concentrate on the reading. So make sure that you do this when you're fresh and you're not fatigued, right? So if you're doing QA, after QA RC, if you're doing VA, after VA RC, but RC is going to be the third section that you're attempting. I'm saying at least, if you look at the sequence, if not second, then third. And then you spend LR 30 minutes and you have DI 10 to 15 minutes to do. So that should be the split up that you're going to work with. 5 minutes here or there in any other section that you want to put in to maximize the score. So the whole game is to clear the cutoff of all the section and maximize in 1 or 2 sections, and you're there. Last year's cutoff is just 32.5, and you can see how low the sectional cutoffs were. So QA cutoff went at 2.34, DI cutoff went at 1.01, LR was 2.35, VA 2.75, RC 2.34, GK 1.14. I am very sure anybody looking at the paper and having done decent practice and having prepared reasonably okay should be easily able to clear the cutoff. So cutoff is not definitely a problem that you will have. So please don't come out of the IIFT paper and tell me that I left the entire VA, after that means you have not even thought about how you're doing the paper, right? So spend time to clear these cutoffs, and probably one or two of those sections that you're really good at, you can maximize the scores there. So this is what we had discussed. 6 days to go. Do a mock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 1 mock as a previous year paper. Practice a little bit of vocabulary, parajumble, grammar, etymology. There is a verbal game, word game out there in your login. Probably you can keep on doing that as practice. Practice current affairs, read current affairs as much as possible so that you have familiarity. Practice some of those simple logical reasoning set, if possible, from the previous year's papers itself, and pick up every day 2 sets of DI from the previous year's papers and keep doing it so that it builds confidence for you. So simple work, 1 week to go, guys. So let's concentrate and crack this paper. Every year, a lot of people from our center actually get IIFT calls, and I'm sure all of you will, because some 20-30 people getting IIFT call. IIFT is one of those colleges that you can crack in the interview, because the interview is short, and if you score high on the cutoff, then your chances of getting in is also very high. The other good thing about the IIFT interview is they don't consider anything like your 10th, 12th, graduation, whatever. So it's purely a game of score, your WAT, the GD and the PI. So there is nothing apart from that that's going to matter. So make sure that you put in a good amount of effort for the next 1 week and be very familiar with the IIFT paper when you go for the examination. Now, before I wind up this session, I would like to also tell you on the day when you are going for the IIFT paper, I don't know how this is going to be managed, because it's an online test this time and it's being conducted by TCS, so they're going to ask you to remove your watches and belt and everything, but then carry a watch with you. If they allow you to carry the watch, then probably you can use it, otherwise you can leave it at the counter. If you don't have a watch, I'm sure there's going to be a timer on the computer, so make sure that you mark your timer, and because the timer is going to it's kind of misleading when you look at the timer, so make sure that you mark at what point you're going to shift your section, so that it's very clear in your mind as to, okay, I'm not going to spend any more time, I'm going to go to the next section, and that should be very much there in your mind, and it should be a very disciplined approach to the paper. So you can't just spend unnecessarily long time on any section, because if you're going to do that, then you're going to fall short of cutoff in one of the section, or you're going to completely miss out on section, so which is not acceptable, which is something that you should shy away from, because you will find that you got a 40 score but you're falling short because one of the section is 0. So that should not happen, and make sure that you spend reasonably good time or whatever the way that you practice, exactly that same time for each of the sections that you're going to do. So be very disciplined with this paper, otherwise you get carried away with the paper. So that's all, guys. So I'm winding up this session here. We'll take questions on the chat box, and I'm sure it's an easy paper to crack. It's way easier than CAT, and it's a great college to be in. So put all your effort behind it, and we'll be able to crack even the interview of this college very easily. So push it through, and don't give it up, and probably practice for the next 5-6 days more and crack this paper.